Makes sense. Okay. Looks like I am live. Good. Let me go ahead and update something here. We're good to go. All right. So tonight, I'm going to go over a little bit of what I wrote for Intro to Numerology. And then we'll go into a little bit more detail. So let's move it to the desktop. All right, so what I have here, oops, I should start from the beginning. It's just two calculators open. One is pi and one is phi. Phi is the golden ratio, gold number. To calculate it, it's part of the quadratic formula. You can calculate it by doing 1 plus square root of 5, and then you divide that by 2 and you get pi. It's great. I looked at it and I thought it was pretty cool way back when I was kind of a kid, a teenager actually, but now it's I'm revisiting it because I thought, okay, it's cool. Now what? All right, so I guess I'll start at the beginning because this kind of dives into, look, I'm gonna add in some speculation here, which I probably won't do, but I think I have to have just a picture, right? Come up with a picture because there's no pictures that I can see, so I have to make my own, and it starts in here. Okay, so introduction to numerology. This is my first draft by me today. Yeah, just kind of finished and going, all right, might as well air it. It's gonna be a quick night for me tonight. So numerology in Latin. Numero is numbers in English, and logos is logic in English. That equals numerology. So the logic of numbers, simple. You don't have to start adding in the crazy stuff. Why I chose introduction as opposed to numerology 101. This is some speculation I have here. So in academia, if you go to college, beginning courses start out as 101. That could be pretty simple. It's just a classification of things, but my speculation is that an esoteric representation, such as in Freemasonry, may mean the 0 is represented as the Eye of Horus, with the ones on each side representing the twin pillars Jachin and Boaz, indicating that the Freemasons might be fully in control of academia, where courses contain this numerical system. I am not a Freemason and I don't agree with Masonic doctrine, but I will be going through a lot of the things that they seem to present in plain sight. You'll notice that two pillars, eye and all-seeing eye, and the star. I think you'll find this interesting. How I'm getting to this point, at least, you might be interested in. So introduction. In Greek, gnosis equals knowledge. Also in Greek, hypnos equals sleep. When hypnosis was termed, it was in the late 19th century with English, with the dash osis. Notice the word hypnosis has no G between hypnos and gnosis. Hypnosis, when your state of consciousness is asleep while your physical being is awake and you have no awareness or knowledge that is being done. So those who have listened to me in the past, you guys know about my stories of where I learned hypnosis when I was a teenager, and I hypnotized my friends. This is back in high school. I learned hypnosis. Well, I was interested in hypnosis when I first saw a street hypnotist perform, and got one of my friends up on the stage doing the Macarena, and he's one person I would never have thought of going on stage to do the Macarena of all dances. So after that, I went to the public library. I wanted to learn street hypnotism. Couldn't find any books on it. All I found were self-hypnosis books. Well, I got the self-hypnosis books. I translated it from first person to third person or second person, so that way I could hypnotize others and I hypnotize myself, because I couldn't figure out if I was hypnotized or not. At any rate, I hypnotized a couple of my friends, and each time they got out of hypnosis, even with other witnesses that were friends of both of us, they never thought that they were really hypnotized. So they don't know. They have no awareness or knowledge that what they were doing was actually hypnosis. They didn't think it worked for them. They didn't think it. They were saying, "Yeah, I wanted to do it." That was their explanation. And me, when I did self hypnosis, because you just record it onto a tape and you play it back, and you don't know if anything works. I guess I could videotape myself if I had a camcorder. I was a kid, so I didn't have money. Nowadays, you could do that, but I don't think I'm hypnotizable. That's probably why I'm awake, and might be explaining a lot of why a lot of people are asleep. They're not really asleep. They're just hypnotized. Oh, and one last bit about hypnosis. The story of my friend that I didn't wake from hypnosis, very much like Office Space, the movie, the plot, if you've kind of seen it. Yeah, I could tell you that story again one day, not tonight. Okay, so Gematria is one of several methods of assigning a numerical value to a name, word, or phrase based on its letters. Gematria originated as an Assyro-Babylonian Greek system of alphanumeric code or ciphers. So the Septa Gematria, and this is where I found it was by watching Marty Leeds. Septa Gematria is a gematria method that replaces each letter of the 26-letter English alphabet by a corresponding cipher ranging from 1 up to 7 and back down to 1. The Septa Gematria total value of a word or name can be reduced, if necessary, to a single digit via the so-called theosophical addition and or multiplication. The G in Freemasonry. Using Septa Gematria, Marty Leeds recognizes the G in Freemasonry as 7, since it is the 7th letter of the English alphabet. 7, using the Septa cipher, is 6 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 1, which added equals 22. Divide the total 22 with 7 and equals Archimedes' pi, which is 3.1428. And I think it keeps repeating 28, or maybe it's 18. Anyways, is this a coincidence? How about this for coincidence? How do you insert the pi symbol in Microsoft Word? Hold down the Alt key and press 227. You don't think I'm telling the truth? Well, open up Word. I'll do it right now. I'm holding down the Alt key. You can't see it. Can I not edit? What's going on? Alright, here we go. Alt key 227. Pi. Do you see that? Isn't that pretty cool? So, is that coincidence? I highly doubt it. They're going, hey, we need a hotkey for pi. What can it be? I don't know. Just assign it to the rest of the letters. I mean, like, phi. I haven't figured out the significance of phi. Phi is Alt 232. That's phi. But I don't know. I tried like dividing, adding, subtracting, whatever with phi with 232. I couldn't figure anything out. That, of course, that could be arbitrary, but they're like, hey, pi, it's got to be 227. You got to use Archimedes' pi numbers. Anyways, that's something interesting. All right, getting into a little bit more stuff that actually means something. They all mean something. Okay, the circumference and radius of the Earth and the Moon. So this was going over. If you watch Marty Leeds, you can go. He goes over it well. But basically, look, they tell you what the radius of the Moon is and the Earth, and it's combined to be 5,040 miles. Now, if you go and you square the circle, he explains that when you do this, you get the radius of 5,040 units with the proportions of 1080 and 3960. It's approximately the same radius of the Moon and the Earth. Coincidence? Or is it planned? Well, anyways, he was going over, the phalanges on a human. So we got, am I doing? Yeah. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Whoa, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Times it by 2 and you get 28. And then if you multiply it rather than adding it, you get 5,040. And if you see a lot of his other videos, it's pretty cool how he kind of goes over. Now, Squaring the cube and the moon's diameter. Now, if you square a cube, you get 6 faces of 360 degrees, which equals 2,160. And that's the diameter of the moon. I mean, all they do with the radius is they double it. So that's just another coincidence there. Now, here's a good one. This is from some other place, but you'll see that the sun has a radius of 432,000 miles. Well, if you study Pythagoras, his favorite and most sacred number is 432,000. He considered that his favorite and most sacred number. Now, a harmonic of 4,320 is 432,000. Basically, examples of harmonics are 432, 4,320, 432,000, 4.32, 0.00432, etc. The same numbers, same sequences. Zeros can be added or removed, and the decimal can be moved left or right. Harmonics were established and taught by Pythagoras and Plato. There's I think I provided a link to this that kind of goes over that. So yeah, coincidence that the sun's radius is the same number as Pythagoras' favorite and most sacred number. You ask me, or you tell me. I want to know what your thoughts are. Now, times of the day, again, we're going back to Marty Leeds. Times of the day equals the harmonic diameter of the sun. So if you get 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour, 24 hours in a day, you multiply all that up and you get 86,400. Now, 86,400 is a harmonic of the sun's diameter. Of course, they say the sun's diameter is 864,000 miles. Now, if you just go back to Pythagoras' sacred number of 432,000, all you have to do is divide that by 2, and you get 2,160, which is the diameter of the moon. Let me go ahead and put in a... Now, if you use 432,000 and multiply it by 2, you get 864,000, which is the diameter of the sun. Now you have 432 times 432, you get 186,624. The speed of light is 106,400 miles per second. It's a difference of 0.001201, which is pretty small. Now, how about those numbers? Coincidence. Somehow, with all we've got, they managed to get it almost exactly right. Now, there's a story, and I went over this last time. Bible codes of Luke. Luke scattered numbers throughout the story of John the Baptist. In chapter 1, he puts numbers in front of time. So 5 months, 6 months, 6 months, 3 months, 8 months, 8th day. I'm sorry. So you get 5 times 6 times 6 times 3 times 8. And what do you get? You get 4,320. And of course, that's the harmonic of Pythagoras' sacred number. Now, Luke chapter 9 and Fibonacci's pi. Now, if you don't know Fibonacci, I think I'll go over it here in a little bit. Fibonacci's numbers are strongly related to the golden ratio. The next number is found by adding up the two numbers before it. The 2 is found by adding the two numbers before it, 1 plus 1. The 3 is found by adding the two numbers before it, 1 plus 2, and the 5 is 2 plus 3, and so on. So if you get these sequence of numbers here, 8, which is the sum of the two numbers before it, which is 3 and 5, and then you get 13, which is the next sequence, which is the sum of the numbers before that, which is 8 and 5, etc., etc., etc. Now, Fibonacci and a whole bunch of other people, and still a lot of people throughout this day in organizations, are trying to find a rational equation to get pi as a rational number. So far, they have not been able to do that. They've gotten as close to maybe even trillions of decimal points with the help of supercomputers, but not quite. And I've got a little speculation as to what that might mean. For example, Jimson's pi was 16 divided by 9 to the power of 2. Babylonians is 3 and 1/8. And I found this in a reply to a comment in a blog somewhere or something like that. Ptolemy and Alexandria in 150 AD used pi equals 3 plus 17 divided by 120, or 377 divided by 120. Archimedes pi, had found 211,875 divided by 67,441. Kind of reworked it to 197,888 divided by 62,351. And which basically reduced all the way down to 22 divided by 7, which is what Marty Lees was using. The with the Septa cipher. Archimedes pi, 22 divided by 7. When applying that to what the G stood for in Freemasonry. Fibonacci, about 1220, calculated pi as 864 divided by 275. And we're going to actually see that in use relatively soon. Indian pi is 10 to the half power. And Viet, in 1593, got to bounce to very close numbers. You could see that 0.0000002 difference. Pretty good. There's a link here. I'm not releasing this yet. This is just my first draft of the intro. I don't know if it's ready. I just thought I'd go over it. All right. So continuing, Luke chapter 9 contains only 15 numbers: 12, 2, 12, 5, 2, 5,050. 5, 2, 12, 3, 8, 2, 2, 3, and that equals 24 trillion 883 million billion 200 million. Okay, so the diameter of Earth is 7,920 miles. When multiplied by Fibonacci's pi, which is 864 divided by 275, which equals 3.14181818. Oh, that's odd. Why? I think that person had it wrong, or it's somewhere wrong in this document. First draft. All right, the product is 24,883.2 miles, which is the circumference of the Earth. And I don't know why I have this here, so I guess I'll delete it. Now, when I'm starting to talk about pi and phi, these are the two irrational numbers. I'll just read what I just wrote. Here we go. Numerology, I speculate, this is me. I speculate. And this is speculation. That's what it means. Is to bridge the gap between time or space or distance. Pi is attributed to time and phi is attributed to space or distance. However, since they are irrational numbers in a realm of what is supposed to be rational or logical or material, we're going to need more than math. Regardless if we find the formula for logical expressions that calculate pi and phi, then we will indeed know what. Oh, I didn't finish. I didn't know what this universe is. So I haven't finished it. I was just playing around with numbers, so I just added pi and phi, and added to approximately gets 13.31. You know, I figured 1 is beginning and 3 is the end, and then end with a dot in the middle. It's the beginning of the end. Who knows? They mirrored numbers are going to be pretty interesting later on. I don't know if I'll include that in the introduction to numerology. Maybe I'll do maybe I'll do in chapters. I think this is just so get people introduced to it. But you'll find, especially with Gematria and a lot of other things, you're going to see a lot of mirroring of numbers. And the mirroring of numbers holds some interesting coincidences. So what I think it is, those two irrational numbers, basically, we're not going to know. We're not going to know. My original thought was, look, if we find the total, complete, rational number for pi and phi, eventually, we might know that the world is fixed, predictable. Maybe it's like a simulation, like people are saying. But the fact that we aren't able to, and these are highly used irrational numbers, might mean that things are changing. Things are constantly changing. Nothing is constant. Nothing stays the same forever. And so what the physics that we know is always going to change, and science has always been great about that. Science has always been about making observations and noting that, hey, once things change, once we get better equipment, heck, maybe even, you know, nothing stays the same forever. That that when you redo those tests, you're going to find differences, and that's what science should be. Okay. I'll get more into that later. I think it goes down into this. This is kind of the crux of my speculation thought process. So, as you know very well, I did some research into, you know, how did we get the 365-day solar calendar? I mean, the evolution of it. Because if throughout history, people thought that the globe, that the sun, either the sun orbited the earth or the earth orbited the sun, and we know that a complete circle has 360 degrees. You would think our days would be 360 days. But that's not the case. For thousands of years ago, at least over 5,000 years ago, both the Maya and the Egyptians had 365-day solar calendars. And they're set apart by oceans. There's speculation if you go and do some searches. I forget his name. I just watched the video. But, you know, there's thoughts that the Mayans and the Egyptians used to visit each other. And they created depictions of that within their structures. Obviously, something in Egypt had something that was definitely Mayan, not Egyptian. So that's another interesting thing. 5,000 years ago, that they knew that there was America, and they knew how to find each other and all this other stuff. I mean, oh, and I forgot to add something else in this intro. I know what it was. Now, so back then it was 365. Then Julius Caesar changed it to the Julian calendar. He had some Egyptian scientist, mathematician, and changed it to 364.25 days in a year. And then, of course, sometime in the 1800s, I think. 1800s. All this hubbub. Finally, the Gregorian calendar changed it. Somehow the Catholics knew that the Earth orbited the Sun in 365.25 days. And then after all that time, you know, with all these all this technology, it hasn't changed. We're still using that same time format, even though it seems like we seem to adjust the time for the measurement for everything, right? For the circumference of the Earth, you know, we'll adjust it by a mile or two. Same thing with the speed of light. We'll adjust it by 0.0013, whatever. Okay, so to go into a little bit more detail, the Mayans had a system where there were 365 days with a cycle of 20 names and a cycle of 13 numbers, which equal 260 days. 52 years passed before all those cycles reset. So, and that equals 18,980 days. I haven't found any numbers to coincide with that yet, but oddly, the 5 extra days, you know, from 360, they were considered unlucky days in the Mayan culture, at least from what I keep reading. And that adds up to 365 days total. So both 260 and 365 are divisible by one common factor, which is 5. You do 5 times 52, and that equals 260. You do 5 times 73, that equals 365. 52 is notable because there's excuse me, 52 weeks in a year. And also after 52 years, the Mayan calendar resets. Now we're switching to the Egyptians. The Egyptians have a story involving Thoth, and you can read it much better than my explanation here. So there's a contest for 1/72nd of the moon's power. Thoth winning this contest changed the 360-day yearly cycle to 365 days. The extra 5 days were to celebrate the 5 deities being born. 5 new deities being born, using the 1/72nd of the moon's power being given away. Now, I thought this didn't quite make sense when I put the numbers to it, because look, 360 divided by 72 equals 5. Power over 365 divided by 72 equals 5.069444, which isn't a whole number. What I speculate is that the story or translation, whatever it is, I'm thinking that one of the 72 moon's power was given away to birth to the 5 deities. Their moon recharged back to 72, with the one remaining power outside the moon, making the total power 73. With the newly changed 365 days a year, it can now be divided to 73 by 5 and no longer divisible by 72. So that's a stretch, but that's the only way for the numbers to add up. Now, last part, actually second last part, this last part hasn't been written down. The 4 corners of Earth became 5. All right, so going back to Marty Leeds, Genesis 1:1, heaven is a circle, earth is a square has 4 corners. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. This is the heaven and earth together right here. This makes sense if the calendar was 360 days. 4 corners, each representing a season with 90 days. That totals 360 days. 4 times 9 equals 360. Maybe that total 360. Okay, so now, what is it now? So, Earth, the square, and you'll see it's outside the circle now, is now encapsulating both heaven, which is the circle, and something else, which is the star. We have 5 corners, each representing 73 days, that total 365 days. So 5 times 73 equals 365. That's why 73 is a interesting number both in Mayan and Egyptian mythology, even though 72 for Egypt. They didn't really specify 73, but with my change in the story, 73 is the new number. It's the new representation of the heaven, earth, and the new paradigm, I guess. So interestingly, I found this, that Chinese medicine divides the year into 4 seasons of 73 days, with 4 interseason days of 18. Now, if you have 4 seasons of 18 interseason days, that equals 72. Maybe they're trying to preserve the ancient ways somehow, because they understand that there's the significance of 73 days and 4 seasons now, because of the change of what occurred. But they want to make that up, make all of that up, not make it up, make up for it. That's what I'm trying to say. With 72 days, 4 seasons of 18 days. So this is what it is now. And what do I see a lot? And you'll see a lot. The pentagram. You'll see the star a lot. Star of David, upside down star, pentagram. People are scared of it, saying evil, whatever. All it is new paradigm. Although if I were to write a story, I would say maybe when it was just heaven and earth, pretty simple, pretty exact, nice, right? No complications, probably beautiful. I mean, it's heaven on earth, I guess you could say. But that changed. I mean, even Egypt said that it used to be 360 days until the incident where Thoth came into play and got it to be 365 days. That is the mythology. That is the story. And if you even think about a circle and any one of these ancients that knew math, 360 days, that's a circle. So if it's not 360 degrees, it's 365, it's not a circle anymore. It's an ellipse. So obviously, if going by globe Earth, if it's 365 degrees, they knew it was ellipses, but they didn't know it was an elliptical orbit until Kepler, which is sometime in 1800s or something like that. Why it took so long? Why did it take so long? Hell, the Gregorian calendar where they, I mean, even the Julian calendar, 365. All the calendars were already set before Kepler had his laws of elliptical orbits. All right, doesn't make sense to me. All right, so last thing that I wanted to include, which I didn't include here, and I want to go and play it back, is if and I found this at Marty Leeds. I was diving into other sections or diving deeper. Is the Chichen Itza, the city? If you go and go to the pyramid of El Castillo, and you could go to this, and I'll go ahead and read it. The pyramid was built as a temple to the god Kukulkan in the city of Chichen Itza. I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong. The total height of the pyramid is just 100 feet. Each side of El Castillo has 91 steps. When you add up the steps on all four sides, you get 364 steps. If you finally, at the end, at the top, add that final top platform as a step, you get 365 steps. So each step would equal a day of the year. Now, isn't that pretty cool? That's using some numerology as well. I mean, why 91 steps in that top step? Why not just keep it 90? Obviously, 90 and 90 and 90 and 90, get 360. Why make it 365 steps? They 365 is a significant number. Now there's more to this. Dun dun dun. You'll find various clips. Here's one. I'll get to the better one here, but this one is good because it's in high definition, and you can see it with this one person clapping. So if you face there in that section or to your west, there's another monument. When you clap your hands, you'll get a Quetzal call. At least one of the versions of the Quetzal call. Here's a Quetzal singing. Maybe I'll play it back here. See how that sounds? Okay, so here I'm gonna play this one. This one is pretty good. And should I play it back the whole point? No, I'll just play it back a little bit. I'll see. Sorry.
Oh wow, that's cool. This one and that one. North and west. Now, my friends, once again, please listen in this place. Very similar.
Cute. First, same as the first one.
The same like that one. That means that only standing aligned to this staircase that is the north and that one that is the west, we can hear that noise. But amigos, it's not only clap for clapping. Remember, this temple was built in honor to Quetzalcoatl Kukulkan, right? And Quetzalcoatl Kukulkan is the representation of a bird on a snake. Amigos, that noise is one of the 400 voices of the Quetzal, the bird. So my friends, we have the noise of the bird. Where is the noise of the snake? Listen, please, not only this noise, right over there. You're gonna hear the noise of the snake. How? Listen. The bird and the rattle. Quetzalcoatl Kukulkan. And that's why, amigos, that's why it's one of the new 7 modern wonders all over the world. Come with me. There are 2 columns. Can you see those? Yeah. Can you see the shape of those columns? Can you see how we have 2 rattle snakes as a column? The top of the column is the rattle, and on the bottom is the head of the snake once again with the open mouth. And take a look carefully. There's a figure between those columns, right? A figure, amigos, in the slide down. That one is the chacmol. Once again, that influence. Remember, before the influence of the Toltecs, the Mayans, they used to kill people where? On the cenotes. After that influence, on the top of that temple. And that's why take a look carefully. That was no bird.
No bird.
And amigos, that's why I told you only north and west. Why we cannot hear the noise in this place? One of the reasons, take a look how many stones we miss in this facade. Amigos, I told you 91 steps, and take a look, we have only 90. Unfortunately, the archaeologists, they couldn't rebuild this side of the temple because they couldn't find all those stones. But amigos, believe it or not, today we know where all those stones are.
So what's interesting about this is he goes into a little bit more detail of the story. If you go to the north and west side of the pyramid and you clap your hands, you're gonna hear the Quetzal call. I mean, astounding archaeological achievement. I'm sorry, not archaeological, architectural achievement. To be able to clap your hands and get a call of a bird, and if on another huge structure, you get a return of a snake rattling. I don't think you can do that without the help of technology. I mean, just based on architecture today, get the brightest and best mind to do it, they're not going to be able to replicate that. Now, that's just the architecture side of the sound mechanics. Now here, oh, maybe this is too 90 steps. The reason why it doesn't work on this side of the pyramid and as opposed to the east side is because the steps, they don't add up to 91. It's only 90 steps. So the 91st step was, I guess, implemental in making sure that the sound worked. And you can see here that there's a lot of damage to this side. So, excuse me. I go into these other websites and they're saying that, yeah, El Castillo only has 90 steps each for 360 days. No, it's supposed to be 91. And you know it works at 91 because if you clap your hands, you're going to get a Quetzal call back. Now you go to the site where there's only 90 steps, you're not going to get that call back. All right. Some of these people, they do not do their research. And this is simple. You can just Google search it. I think it's pretty awesome. And the excitement that other people have. I think here's this one is one I watched initially.
Okay, so this, no, this is the
What do we need to hear
warrior,
something?
and the ball cord's that. It's long.
So what What are the columns for?
We can get you. Where's the columns?
Wait, what did we need to hear though?
Behind there.
There was a story, right?
Okay, so okay, I'll do the acoustic thing first. When you stand at the foot of the pyramid's frontal staircase. Now, which is the front? Is that the front?
It must be, because those are the...
Yeah, let's go try whatever it is. What are we trying?
Expecting.
Oh, here we go. You clap your hands. The result is a long, drawn-out echo that drops in frequency. Sonograms show that the echo is identical to the cry of the quetzal, which is a bird, that the ancient Mayan people believed was a messenger of the gods. The echoing stairway was the world's first sound recording.
How is that possible?
Pure luck.
Yeah, just like the alignment.
Well, that again, guys, stairs on all four sides.
Yep. I assume this is the front because it's got the creatures with it.
Mom, it's amazing.
Do you think that their dragons breathed fire?
You don't have to be close.
I heard it. Can you hear it?
Oh my god, that is so cool.
All of us should clap at the same time.
You can try. How does that happen?
Oh, do it again. Do you hear that?
Squeaks. Do you know when you got up close? I didn't hear the squeak.
Everybody clap.
Oh, that is so awesome.
It was delayed though, and he did it from back there. Did you hear the delay?
So let's all stand like in a place where we can hear a little better. It's a little farther away. There's,
Let's all do it together.
Okay, I'm taping it.
Here, like, girls, ready? 1, 2, 3.
It doesn't need to be together.
Anyways, I thought I would share that with people. I didn't know that till today. I mean, I probably glanced over it or didn't really pay attention when I listened to something first time through. But yeah, isn't that awesome? I thought that was awesome. Anyways, that's it for tonight. It's a short stream. I hope you enjoyed it, gleaned something off of it. I think a new paradigm had occurred a long time ago, and that changed the days of the calendar from 360 to 365. No matter what the story was, the math tells you everything you need to know. Some of the existing structures that survive tell you everything you need to know. What might be happening is the new paradigm. Maybe instead of 365 days in a year, it's gonna be 372 or 380. It's something weird. Maybe the math will add up, and then there will be new measurements, I guess, with science, whatever it is that they. I wouldn't say science. It's dogmatic science, not real science. Anyways, excuse me for the burping. That's it. Thank you. Good night.